Hey guys, JC here. How's it going? So if this video is very short, I'll actually just put it straight to Facebook. But if it's a bit longer and bigger in size, because Facebook has restrictions, then I'll put it on YouTube, okay? I don't really mind either way. Okay, I'm just making this video because a couple of days ago, not on the page, okay? So it's not on Age of Reason. It was outside. It was on a friend's feed thread, actually, I should say, on Facebook. Look, it was such a stupid thing anyway. Basically, we were talking about a bodily function or a part of a body's function. And, I said, okay, I think the function is that. And the point is not which body part it is or what the function really is. The point is that there is a person that came into the thread after that, after I said that, the purpose is this, maybe. And he very like aggressively started to kind of attack me, like, but if you just read what he was saying, he was actually using a lot of like straw man fallacies and red herrings as well. They're relatively similar to each other. They can be anyway. And his whole thing was, he said, like, he made kind of an absolute statement, like all things that have a purpose are designed. Okay, so I actually have, sorry, I speak too loud here. I actually have many problems with this statement. The number one problem I have with it, and I just kind of realized it a bit later, like a bit too late, but anyway, the conversation was already over by that point. Anyway, uh, he tried to, this type of thing, right? All something are something. Some this are this. In conclusion, this is this. This is a very classic argument form. Okay, so I'll show you some examples later on, a little bit later. And the problem here is this is not a like logical argument because this has no conclusion. So I'm not even sure what that is then. It's kind of a blanket statement or something like that. So I looked a little bit more into that, right? And uh, if you just go to Google and you search for that kind of stuff, the thing that I was looking forward to is to finding out if the argument can have only one premise. I'll show you just in a bit what a premise is if you don't know, and what a conclusion is in philosophy. Okay, so it's not just like in daily conversation, it's really in philosophy, logic, and reasoning. Okay, so can an argument have one premise? A premise is a statement in an argument that provides reason or support for the conclusion. There can be one or many premises in a single argument, and a conclusion is a statement in an argument that indicates of what the arguer is trying to convince the reader or listener. But it's interesting here because in that same thing, in the same piece of article here, they provide an example with two premises. And that's in fact the form that I've been kind of trained for. I mean, I took a course from Duke University on logic and reasoning, which was very tough, by the way. I passed with distinction, which I'm proud of. I do recommend it for everybody, though. Like, you just really go through such a course. It's pretty good. It's pretty long, but and it's pretty boring. Okay, look, I'll be honest there. It's pretty boring, but you'll learn a lot of things. Okay, so the thing that I was really interested for is the next one, though. And this is okay. This is from Wikipedia. So look, I mean, Wikipedia is not the ultimate source, but what is? Okay, so Wikipedia says in logic, an argument requires a set of at least two declarative sentences or propositions known as premises, along with another declarative sentence or proposition known as the conclusion. This structure of two premises and one conclusion forms the basic argumentative structure. This is exactly what I've been trained for. this is the form that I know the best. So like you have two premises, you have one conclusion, and then we move on to something else. There's a couple other things I just want to mention here. There are different ways to represent that on paper. Like if you're writing a paper on philosophy, there are many ways you can represent that. So this website, for example, displays the premises as P for premise and C for conclusion, and each premise has also a number. So like P1 and P2. You can have more of them, by the way. I mean, two. I mean, I would say like two is the probably the minimum, obviously, but you can have more and more. But be careful because the more you have of premises, the more difficult it's going to be to kind of identify what's really happening in there. You're going to get confused, I think. So yeah, don't do too many premises. But the thing that I was again trained for is this form. So basically, the number actually is not necessary. I usually put some kind of dash or something. So you put a dash and then the first premise, then you put another dash, and you put another premise, then usually there's actually a bar underneath that, like kind of like if you're doing a sum of numbers or a subtraction of numbers, you put a bar there. And then the conclusion is represented by the three dots. On Windows, there is a key combination on the keyboard you can put to do this symbol. Like it's a special symbol. You need to make an appeal to it. Uh, Off the top of my head, I don't remember the combination of numbers, but you can find it on the internet very easily. Anyway, that's the symbol that means therefore. Okay? So, like, or in conclusion, if you want. So, yeah, this is the kind of proper form of an argument. Okay? So, also, the other thing I just want to mention is that when we talk about argument in philosophy, we're talking about things like validity and soundness. So, I'll give you an example here. Premise one is all actors are robots. Premise two, Tom Cruise is an actor. So, in conclusion, therefore, Tom Cruise is a robot. Okay, so you might think, oh well, this is crazy. Of course, it's not valid and it's not sound and it's just a rubbish argument. But actually, not to burst your bubble, but that argument is actually valid. Okay, and in the definition of validity is we have to assume, okay, that the premises are actually true. And if the premises are true, then the conclusion cannot be false. Okay. So again, look, I don't want to go too much into detail here. If you're interested in this kind of stuff, just please take a course on philosophy. Okay. This is really they're gonna go over that ad nauseum. Okay. The other thing I just want to mention here is this page here. So this we have what we call premise indicators and also conclusion indicators. There's others, but this is kind of the main two, I guess. This is very useful because if you're reading some article in a newspaper, for example, you're going to read a paragraph, right? So they're making some premises and they're coming up to some kind of conclusion, okay? Well, in that case, they're going to use words, kind of keywords, that indicate, okay, so this is actually the start of a premise, and this is the conclusion, okay? And you can use these words just to name a few here for conclusion indicators. You will find words like therefore or accordingly, we may conclude, entails that, in consequence, thus, hence. Okay, so every time you find these words, it means that the author, whoever that is making a conclusion. So if you find that and let's say you missed the premises must be probably before that. Usually it's like that. Premises and then conclusion. Okay. After that, uh, I'm just going to go back to the original argument. And the original argument was that, that person said all things that have a purpose are designed. And he said that, when I said that, when I said a bodily part has a function, I somehow magically implied God, or I made an appeal to the supernatural, where in fact I didn't do any of that. And from that point on, pretty much the whole conversation was just the guy attacking a straw man, which was pretty funny. I wish I took the screenshot, but I was just too kind of well, it was late, okay? I needed to sleep actually. So yeah, I just kind of blocked the guy and moved on. If you look at this argument though, there is a big problem with it. And the problem is, if you're talking about, let's say, an object like a watch or a car. Okay, so a car has a purpose and it's also designed. That's very true. So we can find out who the designer is, who the creator is. But this argument, however, which by the way is not an argument, because this has no conclusion. That's the whole point of my video today, is that this guy's point has no conclusion whatsoever. So it is not a philosophical argument, even though I'm sure he thinks that it is. But he's very wrong, not just about that, but other things as well. Also, this statement, let's use statement because that's what it is, really. It's just a blanket statement. This statement is false because if you're talking about things, let's say, like planet Earth, okay, planet Earth has a purpose for people. And let's be honest here, it's people who assign purpose and meaning. But it's not just people. I'm sure animals do that as well. They look at objects in the world and they see a fire, for example, and they just don't. They're not gonna be suicidal and just jump into the fire, right? They know it's hot, so yeah. But if you're talking about something like planetary formation, so Planet Earth has a purpose clearly for all of us. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. It's just as simple as that. And yet, planet Earth was not designed. It was not really created in the sense that there was not a creator. There was not a sculptor that, came here with a chisel and kind of molded the earth or something like that. No, it was a completely natural process. We know how planets form. Different There are different planets out there. Some are rocky, some are gaseous. Some of the kind of the ones that have a lot of gas, they tend to collapse and form a gravity well, and so that creates a spark to create a star. Anyway, none of that requires a designer or a creator. So this statement is actually just false. It's not. So, first of all, this is not an argument, okay? Because it has no conclusion. Secondly, it's false. And when I was like debating this guy, I was really not interested actually in what he had to say because number one, he was attacking a straw man. He was absolutely 100% straw manning my positions, all of them. Number two, he was basically like, well, red herring as well. But he was assuming that he was basically like putting words in my mouth. Like I didn't say certain things. And then he automatically just shifts the conversation, which I'm sure is a logical fallacy, but I can't think of the name right now. When you distract, it's like go on a tangent, basically. Anyway, it's a logical fallacy if people do that. And then, which was really funny, he actually lied about not doing any of that. And I'm like, yeah, bro, you did. Here's a screenshot of that. And he just like he was so deep in it that he didn't realize it. The point of the video is really just to show you guys like what philosophical arguments look like, that this guy was clearly wrong. And maybe a few years ago when I was a bit younger and a bit more inexperienced, I would get kind of like my blood pumping and I would be all up in arms when I like start like a keyboard war. But now I'm just more I'm just much more mature, and I'm not interested in this. To be honest with you, it's just childish babble. Like these people think that, I don't know, this guy like portrayed himself as some kind of ultimate authority on life or on logic. Well, the latter is especially funny since he can't even make a proper argument, okay? So yeah, if you come across these type of people, and by the way, he's an atheist as well, okay? So he's attacking another atheist. I mean, that's where we're at now. It's kind of like the I'm it's not really the same thing, but we say like, the political right is very united, and kind of one unit, but the political left kind of eats each other. Like we devour each other, we keep fighting amongst ourselves, and then the right wins. Okay, so that's for like, just forget the politics for a second though. uh if atheists are doing the same, if we're fighting amongst each other, that is not good for the future at all. I mean, and I was just really surprised by the level of aggression from that person, and just like, what is wrong with this guy? Like, he must have had some kind of really bad morning, because it was morning when that was going on. So I don't know. Look, I'm not gonna assume like he does. He assumed everything about me. I'm not gonna assume everything about him, but I just gave him a few words of advice. Number one, like, just don't, never ever well, first of all, never ever call other people liars, etc., etc., when they are not, when you're in fact a liar. That just looks so terrible on you, like you have no idea. Number two, don't portray yourself as some kind of ultimate authority on life or on philosophy or anything like that. Look, I mean, I'm like decent at philosophy, okay? I'm decent at argumentation, but I am not gonna portray myself as some kind of ultimate authority on these things. And by the way, I don't think like anybody does that really. I mean, I'm sure like Christopher Hitchens. I mean, look, the guy was like a fucking genius, okay? The way that he spoke was just brilliant. I haven't read his books, true, but I did watch a lot of his lectures and debates, and just the way that he, presents the arguments is just beautiful. So, but I'm sure that he was a very humble person as well, and he would never portray himself as some kind of ultimate authority on logic. It's just ridiculous. It's childish to do that. So, okay, clearly not good for that person though. So, all right. Anyway, I hope, I'm as you can see, I'm actually kind of smiling. I'm kind of happy because I am not worried about these people whatsoever. And if you come across these type of, toxic people, even if they are atheists, even if they are part of the tribe, look, just seriously, like, whatever, they might have a bad day, or they might just had some kind of thing, and they just want to unload on somebody. We've all been there. Sometimes just want to do that. Uh, but anyway, just don't worry. Look at what they're saying. Try to identify the logical fallacies that they use, because I just identified many in this video. So, and just don't worry. Stay calm. This is some kind of stranger on the internet. You don't know that person. They don't know you either. Okay, so they're gonna make assumptions about you. Just don't play that game. Don't participate in that game. So if you see that they're doing that, they're using dirty tricks, they're lying, etc., etc., look, just move away, forget it, just block them, because you don't need that headache. Life is not that long. You don't need to waste your time on these type of imbeciles, even if they are atheists or whatever. It doesn't matter. Even if they are the same political party as you, even if they strongly believe in climate change and you as well, but they say something extremely stupid and toxic, you don't need to be around these people. Look, there's a lot of other people out there. Okay, so that's it for this video. I hope it was educational. That's kind of the point. And so, yeah, stay safe, take care, and I'll see you around. Bye bye.